Hey, this is how you can counter a really strong King's move in arm wrestling. The King's move is an outside movement that relies heavily on rising and pronation. We're going to go over different techniques and see how they would work against the King's move. The King's move is actually very special because it works great against almost all techniques in arm wrestling. We're going to have to make adjustments to these techniques to maximize our chances of winning the match. We're going to start from the hook. The hook is a cup based movement. If you try to get into the hook directly from the beginning of the match against a Kingsmover, you will instantly lose your wrist because they're applying all of their energy to maximize this single strength, which is their pronation. So you will instantly lose your cup. In order to prevent that, you're going to be more defensive. You're going to try to maintain your cup in the middle. You're not trying to actively gain your cup, or you want to commit your shoulder, but you're not trying to play offensive. You want to stay in the middle and try to gain as much height as possible in the setup and during the match. Because against a King's mover, almost all of your strengths are not going to be strong enough. For example, you won't be able to take their pronation ever. You won't be able to take their cup. Well, they will give you your cup and then you will lose your cup. So that's not helpful. The only way to defeat a King's mover is to gain leverage. The best way to gain leverage, since you can't gain depth in the match, during the match, you can gain depth in the setup, but that won't be enough to take their pronation. So you can gain leverage by gaining depth. So you can't do that. You cannot pronate and you cannot cup. The only thing that's left is to gain height. Gaining height is one of, if not the best ways to gain leverage over your opponent. And against the King's mover, that's the only option you're gonna have, regardless of whichever move you do. So coming back to the hook, you need to gain as much height as possible in the setup and during the match, such that the leverage is so high that you can weaken their position so much to the point that you are able to take their pronation or their cup. Now that is easier said than done, and you're gonna have to strategize such that you're maintaining in the center while trying to gain as much height as possible through your hand and through your elbow. This will maximize your chances of winning the match. The same rule applies to a top roll because you won't be able to take their cup. Even if you do, which is what they want you to do, you may take their cup, you're going to lose your cup, your pronation is going to get weaker, and you've already lost your cup, so you'll most likely lose everything. And you don't want that. So you want to maintain in the middle. Maintain your cup, maintain your pronation, don't try to attack, hold on and start to slowly climb their hand. Climb and then drag back. Climb again, drag back again, and continue to do so until you've reached basically the end of their hand and you've gained so much leverage that you can take their pronation and take their cup. Obviously, you're still gonna need a good amount of strength for this, and it is definitely not as easy as it may seem. So that is the best strategy if you're doing a hook or a top roll. Now, if you've specialized in the press, then it's actually going to be much easier for you to counter the King's move because the King's move relies on pronation. A press, especially the flop press, completely bypasses your opponent's pronation. You're allowing your opponent to take your cup, which is what they're using all of their energy to gain. So you're actually using their strength to your advantage. So you're going to give them your cup, you're going to gain an anchor which you can use to apply pressing power with your triceps through their back pressure, bypassing their pronation, and most likely winning the match. That is, if you're able to, which you will be able to, maintain good shoulder commitment. because a king's mover is not going to attack your side pressure. So for a pressure, that's good because he will be able to get depth through his elbow and through his shoulder commitment. So that is how I would deal with the king's move in arm wrestling.